FTC, and this is going to be the losers bracket finals between AeroGP's team on top and Aquilae's team on bottom. Personally, this is what I suspected would happen in the winners bracket, but then Geigen had to take the cake by beating both of these teams. So let's introduce the teams. We have AeroGP's team consisting of Jack, the offense lancer, who can also be an item bot, Ace the ninja, who's an extremely powerful offensive unit, but can also function pretty well as a healer, Queen the summoner, who heals the squad for a lot and does even more from draw out. She has no summon skills, by the way, and King the knight, who has no knight skills whatsoever and is simply there to heal the squad. And I think I know why he has no knight skills. Because he has no knight skills, he won't be wasting time either charging fourth with speed ruin or I'm wasting CT. So he'll always get a cure 3 or a raise 2 off, or at least try to. Then we have AeroGP's squad, which has Sam the knight. This is his knight that can break through abandon and deal a reasonable amount of damage. Again, AeroGP's knights also have no knight skill. I think because AeroGP probably doesn't like knight skills, because to be honest, other than speed ruin, they mostly suck. Then we have Mark the knight, who again has no knight skills. He's essentially an item bot who's pretty fast, can counter attack, and does a good amount of damage between those two swords. Not as much as a knight was fully optimized, but he's optimized for speed rather than damage and HP, which is not a bad idea either. Then we have Mary the samurai, who is there mostly to haste the squad, to heal the squad, and to not get hit in return. She has a good amount of HP. She does a good amount with her sword. Actually, she does more than that knight with her sword thanks to 2 hands. And she's fairly effective at not dying, which is pretty good because of abandon. And I think this setup is actually, the setup on Mary is actually probably more durable than a Holy Lance 108 gem setup, even though a lot of people tend to like that one. This one's probably better at keeping you alive. Then we have Cindy the priest, who's there mostly to spam Holy, so occasionally Cyclops, and otherwise simply heal the squad. Short charge helps with that, so does HP restore and not dying, but her HP is kind of low. And against AeroGP squad, I don't think that kind of HP is going to cut it. HP restore won't mean anything. But anyways, let's on to the actual analysis. Okay, so as you can see, this is a lot closer than it was against most of the other matches. I think AeroGP is going to have some pretty nice competition this time. The reason's this, because if you look at this, the HP advantage is very, very slight in favor of Aquilae, in the sense that he has slightly tankier units with the exception of that priestess. However, when it comes to damage, here's where and also not just that, but also because Aquilae can get a short charged raise 2 off, as well as a fairy for AoE healing, which is something his opponent cannot do as quickly. But if you look at damage, however, this favors AeroGP hands down, because the compats are pretty much set up so that the males on the squads have good compat with each other, and the females on the squads have good compat with each other, and otherwise it's neutral. Because of this compat setup, that ninja can deal 400 damage to both of the knights, and can deal about 330 some to the other units. 330 some to a priestess without abandon is a one-hit KO. 400 damage to that knight over there with 392 HP is a one-hit KO. Similarly, that lancer can deal one-hit KOs, dealing 336 to the priestess, or 412, I think, to the knight with 392 HP. So those two are lethality hits. Meanwhile, if you look, but conversely, AeroGP only has 1 lethality hit, and that's his knight with 2 swords against the ninja if both hits connect through abandon. So we're looking at just considerably lower hit chances. Otherwise Aquilae doesn't even have a one-hit KO. So essentially, Aquilae has a one-hit KO that's not guaranteed, while AeroGP has 2 one-hit KOs, one of which is probably guaranteed. So the damage advantage is definitely in AeroGP's favor. However, if you look at status, here's where the problem to begin. First of all, AeroGP doesn't use any statuses at all. Aquilae's team uses status in the form of haste, slow, and stop from that samurai. I don't think stop is too smart a decision simply because the high CT charge to perform it, but haste and slow are. Not only can that samurai deal damage even when she's out of Kiku range, well, slow down the enemy even when she's out of Kiku range, she can also haste her own squad mates. And on a big map, this might make the difference. When it comes to luck, well, This is again a very, very close call because both units have one abandoned unit, but the thing is, AeroGP has an extra unit with a shield, I think. And it's that 392 HP Knight. Let's check one more time to make sure. Yeah, Aegis shield doesn't count as a real shield. So essentially that 392 HP Knight has a crystal shield and the Samurai has abandoned. This means that AeroGP is going to have a slightly harder time hitting through the evasions on Aquilae's squad because Aquilae just has slightly more evasion. Of course though, luck isn't entirely in Aquilae's favor because, to be honest, it's slight and it's only accentuated by the fact that Aquilae has 3 units capable of hitting through Abandon. Priestess, Samurai, Knight, and the Knight with repeating fists. And AeroGP only has 1. The Summoner. However, that Summoner is tanky enough that she probably will get a few hits off anyhow. And AeroGP also does have a counter Flood Knight, which could matter some. Now, in terms of synchronization, this again is a very close call. Because big maps themselves don't mean too much if your speed is high, or if your movement is high. AeroGP essentially turns most big maps into small maps, or medium-sized maps, where his units will be attacking within 1 or 2 turns. Because of speed synchronization, his entire squad, well, his 2 males are going to be going first before anyone on Aquilae's team gets to go. This is an advantage for AeroGP that's fairly high. However, if the battle lasts too long, haste can prove decisive for Aquilae's team. So it really is either way. It's pretty much can AeroGP score a quick kill? On a small map, I would say yes. On a big map, I'm not so sure. So synchronization again is mixed. And in terms of speed synchronization, AeroGP has the advantage 10-10-9-9, and his squad's overall faster. But in terms of haste synchronization and movement synchronization, that goes to Aquilae. So it's again a very, very close call between these 2 teams. And in terms of AI, well, it's the AI. It can't be too smart and it can't be too stupid. The only thing that will hurt AeroGP though is that AeroGP does not have a unit that doesn't. AeroGP's ninja cannot heal himself, which means if he's ever wounded and separated from his party, he's gonna stay that way for a while, which could permanently reduce his chances. But that's a triviality that only happened once on one of his matches, and it's the one he lost to. Let's see if that... I don't think that will repeat itself, but you never know. Anyhow, with this aside, let's go to the actual match. The first round match is... And here we go. I'll try my best to talk over this, so... Again, AeroGP in the red and Aquilae in the green. And off we go. Let's see who crosses the stakes. And the priest immediately starts off with a holy charge, and then an earth slash, but that gets guarded. And damage split. Oh, and it's a Cyclops instead. It's short charge, so it's going to cause a good amount of damage, but it probably won't KO anyone. Nope. And the Lancer gets a point of speed save. And the counter flood puts that priestess to sleep. Okay, AeroGP had an early advantage. That would have been a KO shot, but it didn't go through. The Knight takes 2 hits from the ninja and dies. 400 damage, just like I said. Okay. So AeroGP at the advantage right now, and he's probably going to convert this if he can kill that Samurai too. Nope, it's only critical. King the Knight does nothing. The wounded Knight runs off and uses Chakra. Okay. And the Samurai runs off to use Murasame, but it won't save her because Murasame doesn't do anything if you can't last long enough. She's still in the one-hit KO range, and the strongest guy in Aquilae's team is wasting his time sandbagging. Okay, this is over. But surprisingly, the summoner, oh right, because of height restrictions, the summoner didn't go to kill. Instead, the summoner decided to assist the kill instead, which is just as effective, since those knights are essentially dead. And the Lancer gets another point of speed, Ace the Ninja gets to go again, and one-shot the knight that was just brought up, forcing the other knight to sandbag. This is over. And a staff whack kills him. Okay, it's 4-on-1. I think Aquilae already lost round 1, just simply from AeroGP's speed and damage output. Now they're just seeing if they can punch through that Samurai. But 2 hits go through, but one gets damage splitted. Okay, this is over as soon as that summoner gets a turn, if not earlier. Okay, never mind, it's now over. So, congrats Aquilae. Congrats AeroGP, you win round 1. FTC, and we're going to be doing Losers Bracket Finals, round 2. We saw AeroGP defeat Aquilae in round 1 on the airship as they rode across the Stikes because AeroGP's squad simply dealt too much damage to his opponent and kept his opponent's strongest unit in sandbag duty the entire round. Now let's see what happens in Goog Machine City. Now, both teams are now out of Hell, but the laws of the tournament dictate that one of them must return back to Hell. So, we're going to play some fairly familiar music while this goes on. It's nighttime over Goog Machine City. Who will win? AeroGP starts out with an Ice Brand throw, forcing the Knight to use an X Potion. The Priestess goes off and uses, I think, Cyclops, and Wave Fist onto the Summoner. So combine that with Cyclops and it should be a KO. Unless, of course, she gets mid-charged. Slow is casted on the Ninja, but it misses, and Klops goes off. With it seems like Aquilae should score the first kill. No, but damage split ensures that she is saved. Okay. And counter flood Kamaitachi 2x damage from float kills the Priestess. Okay, never mind. Another unit is brought down, this time because of the damage split. Aquilae is at an early disadvantage, 4-on-2. Will this cause him to lose? The Knight that was brought down is put back up, and the Knight then heals himself. Okay. The Samurai, remember, has no resurrection skills, but goes to launch the Sword Whack, but it doesn't do anything, despite good compat. Okay. That and the Lancer's jump should bring her down, I think. So it's again back, well, that and the fire, well, but the fireball misses. And the Knight brings someone else back up. Who's gonna take this? Okay, another Knight goes down. Aquilae has 3 units up, but 2 units in critical. So, until he gets out of sandbag mode, AeroGP's just gonna keep pounding him. King the Knight, however, because of his low move, can't do anything, and the Priestess is brought back down again. The key is to take out that Knight who's using Phoenix Downs for AeroGP if he wants to clinch this. But his units are in the corner, so it's gonna take a while. Now that Knight's cornered, but counterattacks for more damage than he was dealt. This is the power of counterattack on a very powerful unit like that. The Priestess is brought back up to full, forcing the Lancer to jump because the Lancer had nowhere else to go. And the unit's brought down, this time by a Shuriken. Too much damage is just too much, I guess. And damage split. Wow, that Summoner just can't die. And Kiku... Okay, so now it's 4-on-1 and it should be... Oh, no, abandoned. But it should be over. Like, no, not now. But AeroGP has this in the bag. And now, yup. So congrats AeroGP, you will earn your rematch against Guy here. I'm sorry Aquilae, but your team has been eliminated.